Good morning. Sometimes I say good morning and I'm distracted by clicking all the buttons. It takes multitasking and clickability to go live. Buttons. Wah! Hi, how are you? Happy Hump Day. Here we are. It is another Wednesday. I'm Valerie Shepard. I'm coming to you live, yay, from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. And that's all about teaching you on this journey called life and living, how to master yourself in your life so that you can exquisitely manage whatever your life brings your way. And right now, all of our lives are bringing some interesting stuff. And self-mastery, this concept of knowing yourself well enough, being aware, like self-aware, the idea that you know you better than anyone else. And so that means you know what your responses are and where those are coming from and how to transform them so that they are more, I don't want to say right, because at any given moment, what was right yesterday is not so right today. So I'm going to say what's optimal for you, what's in your highest and best good. And to be willing to change things, change it up, to be willing to change things when that's not exactly what's happening, when what's happening, what your choices that you're making, what's going on for you, isn't really carrying you to your highest and best. So, yay. So these Hump Day Happy Chats are an opportunity to just kind of share what's going on and give you some tips and tools that you can try on and practice and maybe even cultivate into habits, habitual patterns of behavior, habitual patterns of responding, habitual patterns of inquiry, habitual patterns of living, breathing, doing, and going. And most importantly, habitual patterns of being you in your life in such a way that your life is one that you love to live. Yay. And importantly, this concept of self-mastery is incredibly critical in times like these, times when it seems like every pocket of existence has got some sort of chaos going on. Every pocket of existence has got some sort of where did this come from? Why did this come? And every pocket of existence has some form of how am I going to get through this? Happens. Interestingly enough, if you are one of those, like I am, who actually gets through life on a daily basis without having chaos and monumental experiences that can cause fear and fragmentation and debilitation. If we're graced enough to not have that, we are truly blessed, because around the world, people are living in that kind of experience all the time. So we send to them our highest form of love and light. But today I wanted to talk about creating a field of grace. Like, how do we activate a field of grace? What is a field of grace? And how do I bring that into my life? How do I rest in that when all around me there is something else going on? And where's the space where I take that grace as me into the something else that's going on, right? And so, can we be happy? Like my MO, my raison d'etre, if you speak French, if you just want to say the reason I'm here, good old English, the reason I'm here, plain and simply, as I've discovered through the living of my life, you hear that? Through the living of your life, you may discover the very nature of your existence. the very truth at the deepest levels of what you have to contribute and why you chose to come. So I know that I talk about happiness, and my book is um, Living Happy to Be Me. And these chats are called Hump Day Happy Chats. And those are all about fun and bringing some playfulness into what it is that I do. And it's so much deeper than that. It's about how we are we. How am I being me in my life? And the ME in my book title, the capital ME, stands for Magnificent Essence, which is an acknowledgement and acceptance of and a total gratitude for and commitment to stand as the divinity that I am, the fragment of the one true creation energy in the universe. I call that energy God. You call it whatever you like, or even don't call it. You could just be in the spiritual nature of who you are, and that's exactly what I'm going to speak into in these Hump Day Happy Chats. So good morning again. Thank you for joining me, and let's get into it. Grace. So you know that I love words, undergraduate communications major, and so words really stimulate me. They activate this sort of curiosity around, am I using it correctly? And what does it mean in the vernacular? And where did it come from? Like, cool. To me, that stuff is cool. So, of course, the word grace to me, and I've used it a couple times. You might have read one of my blogs that is called Eat Peas and Grapes. That's a long story, but grace is a part of that story. And so when I think about, good morning, thank you for joining. When I think about this activating a field of grace, let's just talk about the word grace for a minute. So origins from the old French and Latin gratia, which means pleasing, a pleasing quality, also having favor, and from the word gratus, pleasing. So it's about this pleasing nature, this having been pleased, this pleasing of something else. And when you take it beyond that, the origin, and look into usage, like at dictionary.com, Wikipedia, all these different places, and when you look at usage, there are different usages, but they kind of mean the same thing. So it's often used in the school of Christianity, in the Christianity system. It talks about unmerited favor of God, unmerited. In my blog on this, my article on this, I talk about it's the love that you are loving you, even when you might not think you deserve it, right? Grace comes in when I haven't done everything I could, and it makes things happen in my favor anyway. So divine grace, if we talk about it spiritually rather than religiously, spiritually, it's a theological term that crosses many religions. So we're going to come back to this crossing many religions. Global, worldly. Divine grace, a theological term that's present in many religions. And it's come to mean this divine influence, which operates in all of us to regenerate and sanctify what we're doing, to inspire virtuous impulses, high vibration action, to impart strength when we don't have it, to go through a trial, the grace of resisting a temptation to drop off into negativity or action that doesn't serve me. And it's also thought of as an individual virtue that comes from the divine, excellence of divine origin, this divinity, grace. So when I think of activating a field of grace, what I'm talking about is how do I activate space in me, the divine space in me, activate it, leverage it, stand in it, be it in the midst of what's going on that maybe is taking me to another place. Maybe I'm caught up in the fear of today. Maybe I'm caught up in the negativity. Maybe I'm caught up in the judgment. Maybe I'm seeing the lack. Maybe I'm seeing what's not being done. And that stuff is building up rancor inside me. And I'm taking action. Action can be good, but from what energy does that action get catalyzed? From what energy inside me is that action really flowing? This is a monumental question because you can do the exact same thing in a high vibration energy, and you can do the exact same thing in a low vibration energy. What is the old saying? The enlightened man asks or the, I can't remember. The enlightened man is asking, well, now that I'm enlightened, he's asking his sage or the guru or teacher, and he's asking, so now that I'm enlightened, what do I do? Before I was enlightened, I chopped wood and carried water. And the sage says, now that you're enlightened, you chop wood and carry water. That's not the exact quote, but it's the essence of it, which basically means you can do the exact same actions in two different energies and you will get very different results. So this activating a field of grace is, how do I carry myself in a field of grace so that everything that I do is coming from that? So remember, in the body of wisdom that I teach is a conversation about the do have be state of living versus the be do have state of living, in favor of the be do have. Be it first. Be in the energy of peace. Then, as I go through my life and my day, let's not even talk about life, as I go through my day or the next hour or a particularly difficult meeting or a particularly scary conversation with my doctor or a particularly difficult conversation with a friend or my lover, right? The state of peace, being in the state of peace and holding that energy as I bring my countenance forward into the dynamic of what's going on outside of me can radically change the experience of what's going on outside of me. How do I activate a field of grace? So now, as we've activated this field of grace inside, we'll get to how we do it in a minute. But so we're activating it inside. We're calling in the high vibration favor of the divine, the love that is loving me, even though I'm not doing such a good job, right? So I activate that. And then here's this question of, but I'm in isolation right now. I'm in a cocooning phase, a cocooning state in my home. Now, I'm fortunate or not, depending on your point of view. From my vantage point, I can cocoon in my place with me. Many of you, millions of you, are cocooning with others, whether that's a spouse or a partner or a series of roommates or your family, your children, your parents, whatever that is. So there's this interconnectivity. And there is spiritual and biblical reference to the idea that where two or more are gathered, there is divine energy multiplied, and it's exponentially multiplied. In the biblical Matthew 18:20, it's where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am also, which is all about the presence, the divine presence, the grace of God is here now. Yeshua's teaching that he is where the Christ consciousness of the man Yeshua is where you are when you're gathered in that energy of your essence to do the divinity that you are. Pretty cool. Carolyn Mace, I think of her as one of my spiritual teachers. I'm certified in a body of her work called Sacred Contracts. I love this woman. She's a spiritual intuitive, a prolific author. She is in the Spiritual 100, she is amazing. And I hope she graces us with her presence for many years to come. Shouting out to her and her team. much love. And she would call it organic divinity. So, how we get the spark of influence that is from a divine place within us, an opportunity to step through change and to bring a newness. But we have to notice that there's a spark coming. And instead, many of us resist change. Like what's going on in the world right now is calling forth some monumental magnitudes of change. And many of us are saying, hold the bus. And so when we can notice, hey, that I'm being called to some things and not back away because it involves this word called change, we can create an organic field of divinity. It's coming up all the time. Our lives are calling to us all the time. Our lives are showing us where our next step would take us closer to where we want to be. And when we notice and when we step forward and we be in that energy of the change happening that's wanting to come through us, wanting to be as us, wow. Talk about activating a field of grace. So, what patterns in your life are being called into change specifically by this experience of what life is right now? How do you experientially embody what you came here to contribute? How do you experientially embody, carry in your countenance, beingness, what you came here to contribute? That's your doingness. So this global dynamic, any global dynamic, even if you're not being affected by it right away, but you're noticing all those around you who are, you're in it. You're in it. You're in it. So these global situations shatter the illusion of separateness, that I am me and you are you and ne'er the twain shall meet. We are so different. I think about this and you think about this. You've been this way politically, I've been that way politically. Like we've been caught in a I consider it a downward spiral of pointing out all the things wrong with each other, all the things that don't match up with me. You have those. We've been in a downward spiral of pointing out all the separateness. It's an illusion. We bought into it. We've been expressing it. So how do we get on our journey back to wholeness? This is one of the ways, the activation of the field of grace that's right here. So first, breathe. You see yourself too caught up in what's going on around you, like you're judging, you're finding that it's not happening right, or it's not happening fast enough, or oh my God, I'm so tired of all the dynamics happening in my household, and I don't know how to be a homeschooling mom, and I don't know how am I going to care for my family when I've been furloughed from work? All of these things, if you're too caught up, get back to self, go back to wholeness by coming into the present moment with you. One of the first things is to quiet the mind by getting connected to the breath. Drop your breath as deep into your body as possible, maybe putting your hand on your abdomen and feeling it expand as you take a deep breath. Fill yourself with breath. Do that a couple times. A lot of people ask for counting on the in, the hold, and the express, and that can really quiet the mind because you're really focused in here, in this beautiful, magnificent, divine instrument that you are. Come back to the body, the whole body, not just this 6 or 8 inches. Well, maybe it's more like 8 or 12 inches, the whole body. So quiet this inner field because it's going to give you your answers. I sometimes like to activate a sound field. So sound vibration is very healing. That's we could do a whole workshop on that. I have friends who do. Maybe I'll invite them sometime and we'll do some drumming and some chanting, some sound healing. So the thing that I love is chanting. And it doesn't take hours. You can chant for 30 seconds and quiet your mighty mind and come into a connection to the grace-filled field that is already inside you. So I like to chant Om, and it might sound like this. I am. So notice you don't have to be on key. It doesn't matter if your voice cracks. It doesn't matter if you hold it a long time. The objective is to activate a sound vibration and activate a field of quiet within you. So once I do that, I also stretch. I allow myself to stretch. So sometimes I'm doing it sitting. I move my neck and my body, but I get rid of constriction, contraction. The energy of fear can often make the muscles contract. There's a reason behind that. It's because in the limbic brain and in the reptilian part of us, we're getting ready for flight. That's the fight or flight, right? The fear might bring up the need for fight, or for flight, running away, or fight. We're getting ready to protect ourselves. So it's totally an unconscious action. The body does it automatically, right? So what we want to do is notice, oh my gosh, I'm in a contraction. I'm in fear. How do I relax out of that? Opening up the chest, being willing to receive what the beautiful, magnificent, divine energy that I am is connecting with in the world and bringing more of that into my experience. And then I go into an inner third eye, heart alignment here and connecting to an envisioning place. What is it that I can envision? What I want, not what I don't want. We often spend our whole lives talking about, ruminating about, yelling about, screaming about, showing pictures of, and being in the energy of what I don't want. And in the dynamics of the universe, the spiritual laws of the universe, like attracts like. So when I'm doing that, I'm creating more of what I don't want. So you want to use your powerful imagination. Even Einstein talked about the power of the imagination over the conscious mind. The power of the imagination, envisioning that which you really want, what you can see. And it doesn't have to be for your entire life. It could be for the next hour. It could be for your commute. It could be for your children dealing with the dynamics of homeschooling. It could be for you. It's all about right now in this present moment. What's next? How do I connect at the highest vibrations? And the last thing I want to say is because so many of us are doing connectivity in the virtual world, the two or more are gathered can be that too. I have a monthly mastermind and it's a 90-minute mastermind with 5 brilliances. And we devote a half an hour of that 90 minutes to a sacred intention process that I learned here at my Unity Church and that I've been teaching for years and doing for years and hosting intention circles for years. And so we do it and we practice connectivity. There's a part of the intention circle where our hands, if we were in the same space, our hands would be over one another and we'd be passing divine energy from one hand to the next, right, my right to their left to my right. It would be going like that. We do that energetically. We create that where two or more are gathered in a field of grace. We connect that virtually. All you have to do is believe that you're doing it. I've got my little, all you have to do is believe that you're doing it. Believe that you are the field of grace from which beautiful actions, divinely inspired action can come. Believe that you're the field of grace through which divinely inspired thought and divinely inspired way of being you as the divinity that you are, the magnificent essence that is the me in living happy to be me. Just believe it, and then you can achieve it. So activating a field of grace starts with you because the grace is already there. You're just being who you are. And then the actions that you take in that field hit the world in a very high vibration, and more of that is attracted. So whether it's COVID-19 and the chaotic world that may be the illusion of chaos that you're seeing, you can bring the field of grace to wherever you go as you deal with what is coming as a result of whatever's out there. Activating your field of grace. I think that's it for this day's Hump Day Happy Chat. I trust that you got a couple of ideas and some practices. Try the chanting, it's lots of fun. And what's really fun is when I do it with my drum. Maybe one of these days I will do um, I think one of the things that's coming is a laughter meditation circle. And want to get some of my friends on here and maybe we'll do a drumming circle. I love full moon drumming circles. So maybe we'll make that happen too. If you would love that, I'd love for you to put comments and let me know that's what you would like, because I really want to serve your highest good while I'm playing and dancing in mine. So we'll close with the metta prayer, the Karanaya Metta Sutra uh, by the Buddha. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature, the magnificent essence that you are, the grace that you are. And may all beings be free, free of the emotional trauma, the wounds, the hate, the anger, the low vibration stuff that has our world mired in some not so good stuff. May we all be free of that, spiraling up in joy, peace, love, and freedom. This is Valerie Shepard. This has been the Hump Day Happy Chat, coming to you live from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. May you stay well and be happy, happy, happy. Bye now. More buttons to click. Thank you for joining. Please comment and share. You can be the gift in someone else's experience of what they're going through, and you can help them to move in their field of grace. Bye now.